Good morning. Thank you. I'll say that again. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Amy Harris. I am a conference co-chair, a Roundtable board member, and a proud donor to this organization. Thank you. I want to begin by thanking all our conference sponsors with a special thank you to Dance Education Laboratory at 92NY. I am honored to be part of the celebration of the life and work of Roundtable co-founder Joanne Robinson Hill, who passed away last spring. To tell you more about Joanne's life and work, I am pleased to invite back to this podium David Shukoff. Time won't allow me to note all the ways that David has made an indelible impression on the field of arts education, so I will give you the Cliff's Note version. In 1988, David founded the Education Department of Manhattan Theater Club, where he led the department for 35 years. In 1992, in collaboration with 4 colleagues, including Joanne, he co-founded the Arts and Education Roundtable, where he served as board chair for 20 years, laying down many of the blueprints that have led to the organization's current growth and success. He is an innovator, a deep thinker, a workaholic, an artist, an educator, a lover of both opera and English Premier League soccer, and a mensch. Please join me in welcoming a man I'm proud to call my colleague, my mentor, and my friend, David Shukoff.
Thank you, Amy, for that lovely introduction. We have been partners in whatever for a long, long time, and it's great to sort of share the stage for you for a moment. So, Joanne Robinson Hill was a titan in the field of arts education. She was a brilliant educator, a visionary leader, a loyal colleague, and my cherished friend. I first encountered Joanne in the early 1970s at a meeting of the nascent Lincoln Center Education Program. The administrators had already started the meeting when this strikingly beautiful, elegantly, if eccentrically dressed person across the circle from me raised her hand and asked, "Excuse me, but do you think we could go around the room and introduce ourselves?" Oops. And so we did. That was the Joanne I came to know. Bold, clear, polite most of the time, robustly commonsensical, and effective. Joanne always got to the heart of the matter. In meetings, she would often bring everyone up short by asking questions like, "Could someone please tell me what problem we're trying to solve now?" So too in her teaching. In preparing learners for a dance piece like Revelations or the Moors Provence, Joanne would exhort and cajole even clumsy non-dancers like me to execute a simple choreographic task, have us practice and play with us, then show us the work under study, at which point we would see how the movements and gestures we'd been exploring informed the entire piece. But beyond that, miraculously, we would see the piece clearly and whole, feel its human truths viscerally. We hope to give you a taste of Joanne's genius in the activation my colleague Susan Thomasson will lead shortly. Joanne brought these powers to the small working group of artists who, with academics and administrators, invented the theory and practice that became the Lincoln Center Institute model. We would sit on living room floors and around conference tables, arguing and discussing, then trying stuff out at workshops with teachers and students. We were teaching artists before the term was coined. Joanne's searching imagination and her encyclopedic knowledge of dance constantly clarified everyone's thinking. The result of this collaboration was a new form of aesthetic education, the active, experience-based inquiry into specific works of art that has profoundly shaped and influenced the entire arts education field in ways we now take for granted. After several years in Portland, Oregon, where she met and married the great jazz musician Andrew Hill, Joanne returned to New York in 1995 to become Director of Education at the Joyce Theater. This was the moment when the Arts and Education Roundtable was contemplating the scary transition from an amorphous voluntary group to an incorporation as a not-for-profit. Joanne, central to those conversations, guided us with her customary incisiveness. She would focus on first questions, asking the group to define the essential purpose of the roundtable and consider whether and how incorporation would further our aims. Joanne was a member of the original board of directors, serving as secretary for many years. From the first, Joanne was an ardent and persistent advocate for diversifying the board and the organization. She was deeply gratified by the giant steps the organization took in that direction. Concurrent with her roundtable board service, Joanne established and led the Joyce's multifaceted education programs that quickly became a model for the field, refining the practice that she helped develop at Lincoln Center, augmenting it with the mantra, describe, analyze, and interpret. Joanne was beautiful and elegant. No one could match her eclectic or dared match her eclectic wardrobe. She loved clothes. One stunning outfit was a full-length fuchsia Mexican embroidered wedding dress, a multicolored woven Guatemalan belt, and a necklace of Afghani beads. She always surrounded herself with beauty. Even in her final days, she festooned her room at the actor's home with colorful hangings and fresh flowers, all curated with fierce precision with the aid of visiting friends. Devastatingly, Joanne was afflicted with a disease that slowly but relentlessly shut down the body that was integral to her life and her work. But Joanne refused to submit to her MS, willing herself into mobility and activity. Many of us would watch awestruck as she navigated the steep stairs at the Joyce Soho, stairs that were daunting even for supposedly able-bodied people like me. Ultimately, her body failed quickly, but her mind held on to the very end. On the morning she died, Kim Olson sent her flowers from the round table. Joanne saw them, acknowledged their beauty, and murmured thanks. It is a special comfort to me that at her death, she was aware and appreciative of the love and gratitude from this organization to which she helped to give birth. Thank you. And now I am privileged to introduce my esteemed colleague, Susan Thomasson, who will lead us in an activity focusing on Martha Graham's Lamentation, which we hope will suggest and reflect Joanne's approach to exploring dance works. Susan's impressive full bio is included in your conference materials. For now, suffice it to say, she has danced, choreographed, and taught with major companies of all kinds throughout her illustrious career, and worked closely with Joanne at Lincoln Center and at the Joyce. Please welcome Susan Thomasson. Do you want a hand mic? I think we want a hand mic, don't we?
Right. I have a loud voice. I could do this without a mic, but thank you, David, for that beautiful introduction. And I'm so honored to be here today to speak to the memory of and the work of Joanne, who was my dear friend, as David said, from Lincoln Center first, and then for 20 years at the Joyce. I told her caregivers at the Actors Home right after her death that Joanne she was obviously someone, and they were really aware of that, because she had many visitors at the Actors Home constantly, and it was an experience to walk into her room, as David described. I said that Joanne, along with David, they were Adam and Eve walking into this new field, the first people to step on the ground of this kind of arts learning. And so to be asked to honor Joanne's memory with actually the process that she cared so much about, which is hands-on, which I'm hoping that you'll lend your body to in just a minute. Some of us actually, is really an honor. I think that's the best way to honor her, because she cared so deeply about this way of bringing the arts and aesthetic education, which is what we were developing actually in those early years at Lincoln Center, to everyone. So I'm going to ask some of you, I'm hoping everyone said that there'll be plenty of people who would be willing to come up into this open space. Can some people come and participate? We have 2 ways of participating. I'll tell you about that. Yeah, great. Fantastic. This open space. Great. Great. And we're going to, fantastic, great. I'm going to ask you, the participants, to take a partner. Could be someone you know or don't know. And we have, so take a partner, and I'll give you instructions. Those of you sitting down, we have another art form through which you could do this exercise. At the end of the rows, there are markers and paper, and also pipe cleaners. Let me just. I didn't. So you can work in 2 dimensions, drawing anything that you observe during the exercise, or you could work in 3 dimensions with the pipe cleaners here. You can easily make a figure. These are made out of aluminum foil, actually. It's another simple material, but they're an example of what we could do. So you can either respond to the prompts in the exercise, or you can create a response to what you see the participants doing. So before we do anything, participants, let's warm up a little bit, right? Because we are going to think about sculpting clay. So we're going to imagine ourselves as clay. So let's do that, and you can do this in your seats, actually. But let's just get some rotation going here. So just take the head and let it rotate a little bit. Relax on the shoulders. Rotate them. Make a circle. Wrists. Right? The back and pelvis. You can do it right in your seat. Right? The knees. Right? The feet even. Warming up, and then compressing the clay. So think of yourself as the clay and expanding it and compressing it, just as a visual artist would do, and expanding it and compressing it and expanding it, twisting it a little bit, twisting it a little bit, twisting it a little bit. Great. All right. Good. So with your partner, decide who's number 1 and who's number 2. Okay? And number 1, you're going to be the first sculptor, and number 2 will be the clay. So number 1, right? Number 1, when I give you the cue to mold your clay, you might ask your clay permission, because you can actually mold them physically and touch them. Or you can you can give them verbal directions. I'll give you those options. But you're going to, let me just demonstrate here. Go, Mary. You're going to think of the I'm sorry, yes, yeah. Sorry, right. Number one, the sculptor. Number two, the clay. So just take a minute to try to express the idea of grief through that clay, right, with the whole body. So not thinking of a person grieving, but grief itself. Where is that in space? What's the feeling of it? Where is the focus? Okay, ready, number one? And you can ask permission of number two to mold them and go. Use the whole body. What are the hands doing? Oh, and I'm really happy to see someone. You can use all the levels of the space. Your grief sculpture may be kneeling or even down all the way on the floor. What are the fingers doing? The shoulders, the side of the body, the knees, the feet. Where's the weight of the body? So all the details of the whole body as a sculpture together. Beautiful. Just try your best. Clay, number two, to hold that shape. I'm going to give you a couple of about 10 more seconds, and then we're going to step back from our shapes. Just take a look at them. Okay. Great. Checking it out. Beautiful. Great. So let's step away from our clay and let them be independent sculpture, right? And this is an integral part of the this kind of teaching approach, right? Is looking at not only your own choices but the choices of others and noticing what are the commonalities. What are the commonalities? What are some of the ways that different shapes are contrasting, right? Great. And thank you, Clay. Beautiful job. Okay, great. All right, great. Let's trade places and let number two be the sculptor and number one the clay. Melissa. Yeah, same thing. So taking once more grief, sadness. Okay. Number two working on number one. So see what you can do. Where's the focus of the face, the back, insides of the legs, all the body? What are the possibilities? The fingers. Beautiful. So you see things that are similar and other choices that are different, which is really interesting. Where's it going in the space? What does that mean? Great. Good. Beautiful. So anything that you need to do to give the clay the intention that you are that's coming out of your imagination here. Great. Beautiful. And take about 10 more seconds to finish your shape. And sculptors, artists, if you could step away. Wow. Beautiful. So really, really interesting. Anyone have something that they're observing, a common thread in this audience? We're based in inquiry. Yes.
There seems to be a lot of internal, but there's also sort of like
reaching out. So great. So in internal circles and reaching out from that. Great. Beautiful, beautiful observation. Right. Great. Good. Yes.
One thing I noticed, one thing I'm seeing and also experiencing is twisting.
Yes. Yes. So there's a certain muscular feeling from that, right? Rather than just simply, not simply compressing down, but the twist is a different. So the idea of ring and ringing, is maybe a word that might describe that. Yeah. Thank you, Clay. I don't want to make you hold it too long. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. Now let's go to another shape, a contrasting shape. So we're going to go back to number 1 again, okay? This time, the shape of hope. Now that can be profound hope or a little bit of hope. You can decide, right? We all need hope in these current times, right? So that idea, how would the body and what would the relationship be? Where is hope in space? Where is it in terms of the whole body or different body parts? What are the hands doing? What's the face doing? The chest and upper back. Hope, all right? So number 1 again, okay, first sculptor. And those of you who are maybe documenting or getting inspiration from the process, right, we'll ask you to share some of your... Great. Great. Good. Using the whole body, face, the periphery of the body, the core of the body. Hope. And about 10 more seconds, sculptors. Great. And can you step away from your clay and let the clay be independent, right? Great. Beautiful. The artist takes a coffee break here. Okay. But the gallery, the sculpture gallery must stay in place. Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. All right. So something we're noticing about this shape that might be different from sorrow or a sadness. Yes.
It wasn't actually about the shape. Oh, microphone. Reaching, obviously, but I just was noticing that there was more, noise, more sound involved.
Oh, so interesting, Anna, that more sound. So that's implied even though the shape is frozen. There was more sound in the process, or there's more sound implied in the shape?
In the process.
In the process. Interesting, yeah. Because it's a whole other emotional landscape, right? Great. And shake yourself out, Clay. We're going to, as you might expect, just repeat the process now to sculpting 1. The idea of hope. So we think of so many things that are iconic. Revelations, for instance. Here, hope, right? Ready and go. Okay, all right. Okay. Yes. I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. Great. And let's step away from your partner. Great. Great. Beautiful. One of our our observers just made a beautiful observation about the idea of reaching out, being present in both hope and in grief in many ways. Moving forward, yeah, so there's, again, although the shape is still, there's an implied traveling. Yeah, great, wonderful. So just, you can just relax, good. Now, so we're going to link these two ideas of grief or sadness and hope in between with several, if I can just give you maybe my, just put it down there. With just, all right, okay. All right, great, good. With the idea of gesture. So gesture and dance, what we've done as a sculpted shape is whole body movement. Gesture in dance is usually one part of the body. It could be hands, right? It could be head. It could even be foot, a single movement or a single use of the body. So the idea of grief, if grief resided in a gesture of your hands, what would that be? So this time, it could be a movement. What would grief be? So just playing with that idea with your head, your shoulders, your hands, even elbows, side of the body, foot. Find several, for you, gestures of grief using parts of the body. Just take about a minute or two for yourself, right? Gestures of grief. How would the head show grief as a gesture? What about the shoulders? The knees, elbows, fingers, feet. Side of the back or hip, right? So just a little word for you. I'm sorry I'm having to rush through this. I'm going to ask you now to create your own phrase. So we would say a phrase is like a sentence. In dance, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? So I'm going to ask you to begin your phrase that you create. I'm going to give you some working time. Begin the phrase that you're creating with a still shape. It might be grief. It may be the shape that your partner made on you, or something that's inspired by that process of working with a partner. You can use two shapes of grief. You can use hope and grief, or grief and hope. So you can do that in any way you want. And the journey in between those two shapes is gestural. So the gestures of sadness with any part of the body. It could be one single gesture, or it may be several. So you're going to make just a very brief statement, a brief sentence. From a still shape of sadness and grief, sadness or grief, and hope, or one or both, right? And the journey in between the two is going to be gestures with different parts of the body of grief. Okay, so I'm going to give you just about a minute or two to work, and then we're going to do our own phrase as a solo. Okay, as a solo. So your partner has influenced you. You've borrowed, beg, borrow, and steal, right? The partner has influenced you, and you're also using your own responses in making this phrase. All right? So go for it. You can get the music ready. I think they'll be able to do this. Yeah, all together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So find your own way into this so it feels right for you as an expression. still shape, gestures in between, still shape. And condensing this process of creation about 1 more minute to finish your idea, and then we're going to look at them all together. Unfortunately, we don't have time to look at them, but we're going to give you a little musical support. Yeah. No, we need to see it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Okay. All right. So we're zooming through this expedited process of discovery. Let's see if we could show now our phrase. And we're going to have to do it all together. So not ideal, which is not ideal. But I'm going to give you underneath the score of Lamentation, actually, the music that solo has, all right? So I'm going to duck down here out of the way. And let's, because we need to go into a shape, let's start from a neutral position of just the body upright. And when the music comes on and when you feel the call, you can do your phrase, all right? And just stay still in your shape to indicate that you're done. Great. Okay. Let's give them a little appreciation here. Okay. Beautiful, you guys. So much to unpack from that, right? And in fact, the unpacking is one of the most important parts of this. But we're going. So that's where we observe, notice, describe. Sometimes we say analyze and interpret what we saw. But let's link this to this work of art. This is Martha Graham's great solo, Lamentation, which she made in 1935. So this is considered one of her first pieces that's of her fully developed style, and it was a watershed in dance at that time, and I think still. So let's take a look at what we're going from with Lamentation. This is Peggy Lyman, a great Graham dancer.
Thank you.